Hey guys, welcome to our 4th episode on Word on the Street with
Lara
and Sydney.
Get comfy and be ready to talk all things dance
With our 4th guest.
Let's get into it. Our guest today is Yaw.
Hi guys.
So what have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to lately? So recently gone self-employed now. So I'm now teaching full-time in various high schools in London. I'm actually a step into dance practitioner for the Royal Academy of Dance.
Wow.
So I've very kindly got that job now. I run my own team, which is called Funk of the Future. We've been doing a few competitions, just done set for set.
Yes.
Teaching at Diversity Studio, which I'm very, very grateful for. What else have I been doing? I'm hosting for a British dance organisation. Just shout out to BDO. Stephen Jane would not allow me to not do that unless I was, going to do it. So shout out to you guys. What else have I been doing?
Been busy.
Just workshops. Been teaching in Wales a lot recently.
Wow.
Been choreographing for a lot of teams as well. So one thing I'm very happy about and very grateful for is the fact that a lot of teams and dance schools and owners are asking me to choreograph their sets for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much everything. Have I missed anything else? Yeah.
So
Very busy.
Very busy.
Yes.
Very busy. Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about yourself? Like just little insight.
Well, started dancing properly at 18, 19. I had 2 left feet. Very young, honestly. Was very inspired by Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Missy Elliott, anyone that could dance. I was always trying to be that guy in my family was trying to dance. Couldn't dance very well when I was younger. Decided in sixth form that I really wanted to take it more seriously. So I trained some breakers at my secondary school. Ended up winning a dance contest that my school put on. And then that kind of drove me to kind of, take dance more seriously. So I went to university. By the way, did a completely different thing to dance in terms of degree. So I did an economics politics degree and a master's in international relations. So I'm not classically trained, anything like that. But I danced with the university dance team when I went to university. Took part in some shows, and then in my 20s just tried to take classes, joined a few teams and studios, and I don't think I really got into my own really until like my 30s really. I mean, I was teaching here and there in my 20s, but when I say I'm getting into my own, I mean I didn't really how can I put this in words? I would say my 30s were the times when I was like, right, okay, I feel good. I feel good. I feel like I'm contributing something. That's when I started locking specifically my 30s. So that's like a short history. Yeah.
So you kind of answered it, but when did you start dancing?
Started dancing probably 18, 19. I was doing actually all street dance styles predominantly. So I was more of a freestyle dancer. So, I didn't really have any instruction. In my 20s, I did find foundation. So locking, house, popping, and actually moved down to Plymouth for a short period of time back in 2012. Big up Beat Breakers, Room City. Again, Chris Gilchrist. He would kill me if I didn't basically give him a shout out. Went down there and really, I would say, trained with an amazing team called Beat Breakers. Ran a sub-team called DID, Do It Different. And that's when I was choreographing for them. Came back in 2013. Joined a team called Company 68. That was led by Tamara Kramer, Studio 68. Again,
No shout out.
I've got to do the shout outs because I've got to. Yeah, absolutely. Because every single person that I've met has been a part of my journey. So
you wouldn't be where you are today without them.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
So 18, 19, I would say I took it seriously. 16, 17 was like, okay, I need to learn because I couldn't, literally 2 left feet. It was awful. No rhythm, no timing, nothing.
Never tell that now.
I do my best. I'm 39 this year and I'm like, okay, I need to keep up these young people, but I'm doing my best. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So what is your favourite style of dance? I feel like we've got...
Well, of course it's locking.
Yes.
But I have a very big respect for anyone that house dances, that pops, light feet. Breaking is just physically just you know, you got to be a physical specimen to do it. You know, but just in terms of the discipline and, you know, what you have to put into locking, I'll say locking is my favorite.
Yes. Can you like give us a inside of locking, like a background?
Yeah, so locking was created in the 1970s. Tech University, I keep always forgetting the name of the university that Don Campbell went to. So Don Campbell signed with Robert Shuffle, came up with locking instead. And then everyone said to him, Don, do that freeze, do that stop, do that lock. And then literally that's how he became Don Campbell Lock. He inspired a number of lockers to join him. Again, if anyone wants to like, you know, correct me on history, please do. Sometimes history can be, you know, how would I say this? You can be told something, but it's not quite correct. But what I know is that it was born out of mistake. It was on the Robot Shuffle, and it is a funk style. It's one of the first street dance styles that ever was. It came prominent with 7 dancers. So Don Campbell was obviously the father of locking, as he's called, and then he inspired other lockers to join him on his almost like his crusade, essentially. It was more prominent in Soul Train. It was that was led by Don Cornelius, and then they were, you know, on TV, basically touring the US with it on Soul Train. Had a bit of a fallout. Got political. Don't want to go into too much detail, but you know, there's a point where they're off the show, and then they came back to basically, you know, do their thing. And then I think there was another generation of lockers that came on and basically continued it. And then obviously now 80s, 90s, early noughties, it then started becoming a bit more of a thing. But I will say it's gone to all parts of the world. It's prominent everywhere in America and, you know, in South America. The Japanese, the Chinese, the South Koreans are fantastic at it as well. Don Campbell said one thing though about locking. He said, take my style and make it your own. You know, so once you have the understanding and basic and timing of it, you can do what you want with it. You know, I tend to lock to all types of music. And that's because I've, you know, been exposed to all types of music, you know, Afro music, house music, you know, pop music, you know, hip hop music, you know, so I don't see why it should be constrained to 70s music, which even though it's still funky, it's still great to listen to. I think now the younger generation, I feel have a bit more of a connection with, like, you know, Kendrick Lamar, for example. You can still lock his sort of music, you know, so that kind of gives you a brief history. Again, please, if anyone feels I've got something wrong, please, you know, correct me, because you can always get things wrong. You can always learn.
There's so many different stories, but I think it's the main thing that there's so much background. I don't think everyone realises there's a background behind every style. Think about how many styles there is. Like
100%.
There's so much. Like, think about where it originates from. I think people forget. These styles haven't just like been like, oh, someone just came up with that move. There's an actual background to it.
I would say the Campbell Lock brand will be a very good place to visit. So if you Google it, the Campbell Lock brand, it's led by the son of Don Campbell, Dennis D. Double Delaney. Shout out to you as well. He, by the way, again, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, he's one of the guys that supported me. I mean, he's seen millions of lockers around the world, and he's always been so supportive, and his family, in terms of the way I lock. Again, I'm not the most crazy athletic locker. I don't throw myself in. I'm training floor stuff now at the moment, but you know, there's been time where I haven't been doing that as much, and he's still saying, keep going, you know, you re-embody, you know, my father's spirit, which is lovely for him to say. But he leads that archive. So all like the history of locking, the music they've used, you know, the generations of lockers. If you really want to learn more about it, visit that archive, because it's literally powered by Don Campbell's family. So
Therefore, go and check that out, because like it will like influence anyone so much. I'm definitely going to go and check that out.
Absolutely.
So much.
I think it's really important to learn about where your styles came from as well, because like everyone tries to do a style, but it's also about like knowing it as well. And there's one thing that you said that's like really like stuck in my head, is where he said, take my style, make it your own. I think that's that goes with so many styles, that goes with everything, no matter what you're doing, like it's all about doing it how you want to do it, and I think that's like I think that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, I mean, you will find that, you know, not everyone's going to agree with how you do it. Everyone's going to have a preference. You know, I know for me, you know, there's a few people that, you know, see the way I lock and they you know, whatever reason they don't feel it, and that's absolutely fine. That can happen. It's art, really. Art is very subjective. You know, you get people that love what you do and don't like what you do. But the main thing is, as you just said, is just got to make sure you feel empowered enough. Do your training, do your research, do your history, train the style, go to class, freestyle it, dance to it, choreograph to it, find your lane, because you know you want to be. And I said this in an interview with Chris Donnelly. Big up to Chris Donnelly, one of the best hosts in the UK. I literally am inspired by this guy every time I see him host, and he inspires me to host better. But I said to him, take my style and make it your own. No, sorry, I didn't say that. I said, you know, be the original you. You know, if you're the original you, then you can do anything. You know, Don Campbell said, take my style, make it your own. I got a bit confused there. But like, you got to be your original you. Why? Because, you know, you've got to take a style you like, train it, and then grow with it. And then once you found that, then as long as you understand and believe in what you're doing, then anything's possible. So
what inspires you most in the dance industry? Oh no, not what, who?
Who? Oh gosh, I think we've got enough time to tell you. So there's lots of people. I think top of the list, Jimmy Williams. Jimmy Williams, I would say, is the father of UK locking. Big up Jimmy Williams. Sorry, shout out to dude. Gosh, he's like, you know, I'm not gonna you know name his age because I feel that's very disrespectful. But he's older than I am. But he still kicks my butt anytime I go to class. You know, I'm still inspired by the way in which he can show me there's a different way of locking, and he still puts a feeling in my head like, right, still not quite there yet, even though, you know, I've, you know, achieved, you know, some great things with locking, you know, a few nominations here at the Dance Awards and stuff like that. You know, I still feel right. I still can be better. I can still do better.
Exactly.
And every time I go to this class, I always feel like after class, like, right, I just need to take everything like, you know, like a sponge, you know. So him, one of my best friends, Kada Smith. Shout out to Kada Smith. Again, I've almost seen him grow into what he is now. You know, he's very modest about his growth and what he's done in the scene. He's most in the Southwest, but every time I see him dance, he inspires me. My good friend Nana, he's someone that's, again, we've worked together at Futunity Dance School. Big up Futunity. Every time I name these people, I've got to big them up because they'll be like, why didn't you big us up? Yeah, what's wrong with you? You know, we talked together, and yeah, he's someone who's still a counsel of mine. He always counsels me, always like, you know, always gives me advice. Boy Blue, big up Kerrick Sandy, and the whole Boy Blue. Every time I see their show, I'm always like, so much strength and power. Bird Gang, I love Bird Gang. Bird Gang are just a fantastic team. Big up to all the members of Bird Gang, Flawless, Marlon Swoosh, like, you know, Ashley Banjo for even giving me the opportunity to teach at his studio.
Exactly.
And I'm just truly inspired by the longevity of what he's able to achieve, and the fact that him and also Ashley and various other people have, you know, how do I say this? I'm now investing in youth. Dance as yourself, you know. I think that's a beautiful thing because they are the future of and keeping, you know, UK dance where it needs to be. So, so many people, you know, Rhythm City, all those guys there, Chris Gilchrist, his longevity on how much he's been able to keep it all going down in Southwest. So many like teams in Wales, Synergy, you know, all these guys, you know.
So many people inspire you nowadays because like the amount of hard work each and every one of them can do. But then how different they all are in their own ways inspires you in so many different ways. There's so like most of the people that you said like have inspired me because they've helped me so much with my dance career. that like words can't even describe.
Absolutely, absolutely. The list can go on and on. Like I think to kind of round up this question, because we'll be here until the sunset right over there. I think every person that I've had a positive, engagement with in the dance scene has inspired me in some way. Because they have, I'm a big supporter of anyone that dances. Like I'm that person that not necessarily is going to be sitting in the cypher, but I'm the person that's always going, yeah, that's great, So, there's so many people. So I could literally give you a whole book of them.
Dance crew.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And I'm really sorry if I haven't mentioned anyone specifically, but you know who you are, who you've inspired me. I always say that to you on a message anytime I speak to you. I'm saying it to the camera because it's very important I say that. But
I think that's important to have a lot of people as well, because like you're going to take things from everyone. So it's just taking what you can from other people.
Gemma Hoodie, like as well. Holly Victoria, like Chloe Dean. There's so many. So many. Like, it's just like, I'm like, everyone. A lot of people.
So basically, I saw that you choreographed a set for set.
Yes.
And that whole process, like, what was that like? Because I actually performed that set.
Yes, you did. You were in WD. Very good set. Big up Lily. And it was Mikey choreographed a bit of that.
He done Yaw Darko.
He did. Yes. But
what is that whole process like? Because you get given the music. And it's very different process, so
it's a really good question. So I feel with set for set. So it wasn't just me that choreographed it. It was myself, a Japanese locker called V, fresh from Japan. I saw him. Where did I see him? I saw him. Oh, he came to one of my open classes. And I saw him, I was like, right, I want to work with him because his funk was just phenomenal. So it was him. It was also, I gave a few parts to some of my dancers. So Kadeem, aka Voodoo Dancer UK, big up to Kadeem, and also to Eva Hewitt. They choreographed as well. With Set for Set, it's a very famous dance competition. Oh, the little one is saying, hi, good? Yeah.
Just a dog out.
Just dog out the window. It was a very interesting process. It wasn't music that Funk the Future, Funk Find Me Elite that I call them, would dance to. We are a locking collective, and we want to convey the street style of locking and all various other styles in a unique way. We always go back to locking as our first point of call. But we like to put a bit of house in there, a bit of popping, just a little bit, and then tie it in with locking somehow. Exactly. So the process was very interesting because the music that we got was very out of the box. Not music I would pick, but it was still an interesting process. Still was, still.
That helps a choreographer get outside their box as well. Because I know, like last year, I got Reach for the Stars, which was quite this is going to be quite fun, but it's like a funny process as well, because we're like, you come up with new ideas, and I can see my dance teacher's brain like ticking. I'm like, this is like a fun process.
It was.
It gets you outside.
It was. It had its challenges during the process and on the day as well, but Set for Set is famous. Jan Belenge, big up Jan Belenge. Come on. He's another one that truly inspiring as well, because his longevity in the scene and the opportunities given to dancers cannot be ignored. He is, someone that inspired a lot of people. But with Set for Set, he's kept that going, and some of the most important dance teams that we've had over the years were in it. Vortex, for example, Dark Elite. Some of these teams you wouldn't know. Who else were there? Status, Peridot, Trilogy. A lot of teams. Flawless, I think, have done it as well. I think Diversity have done it. I think Diversity have done it. I'm not sure. But Set for Set is very, very famous, and the fact that we got a chance to do it was a big thing. So So
we've seen on your social media that you've been back to training.
Yes.
So
it's good, because so many people think that they get to an age where they should just stop training, but I feel like you just need to always continue. I know, when I get older, I just want to never stop training, because I'm never going to be at my best. No one's ever reached their top. So I think it's a good message for you to say, why have you continued training?
I always have this phrase on my social media: student of the game. I'm gonna be always a student of the game whether I'm 40, 50, 60, 70, I will be still going to the dance classes. Because, I have a responsibility as a dance teacher to be at my best. Now, I'm not, criticizing anyone that doesn't train. There's various reasons why you don't train. Obviously, you might have a family now, or you might, injury, all various things. But I think for me, because now I am obviously potentially teaching guys on a regular basis, at diverse studios, and obviously teaching Royal Academy of Dance. With Royal Academy of Dance, again, I've always trained. Like, when I'm teaching locking, I'm always going to do winners class. If I've got a Saturday off, I'm going. If I'm not even feeling 50%, I'm gonna go, because that's the class I need to go to in order for me to be like, right, let me make sure that I'm on point. No pun intended there, by the way. But with training, you're still exploring. Street dance is it's such a vast thing, and you have to still train. Like, I mean, I've been going to Turbo's class, and it's just been so refreshing to go to Turbo's class, because he's one of my old school teachers, and this gives you really good memories of when you were training when you were younger, and and some of the moves that I couldn't do, I can do now. I mean, I can do this move now, I went to a hip hop class with Dominic Hamilton. Shout out. Great dancer, by the way, great teacher. He's worked with a few of my academies. Loved that class. The energy was good. I wanted to get it. I kept going, right, I'm gonna do it again. Like, I'm always wanting to be better. Like, and I feel that should be a natural thing. But some people can't. It is what it is.
I feel like it also helps with, like, when you teach, though, like what you enjoy the most about that class, or like how that teacher's taught. I feel like then you can imitate and put in your own classes.
1,000%.
Loved your classes. And I think that's like helpful as well for yourself. Then you're like, oh yeah, I enjoyed that part. I might teach like that to make sure that everyone in my class enjoyed. So,
Libby Putney was one of my first street dance teachers, and a lot of the way she taught. Hey Libby, how you doing? She really, the way she taught is always stuck with me, and she'll be very surprised I say that, but like, that was one of the teachers I was like, I want to teach like that, because she's always, going, really good, well done, keep that going, and I really like that, and when I was at university, like, learning how to understand and count and whatnot, like, that was one of the things that always stuck with me. So she's one person that helped me with my teaching technique.
So what do you love most about teaching?
I think first things first, the energy that you can provide in the room. I think it's one of the top ones for me. I have heard a few horror stories of how people teach, and I just feel like teaching is such a responsibility, such an amazing responsibility, that students in your class have given you the trust to be there in the room, to learn from you. And for me, that's such an amazing feeling, There's hundreds of street dance teachers across the UK, and commercial teachers and heels teachers and whatnot. And people can go and take those classes instead of my class. But the fact that they're in the room, they can trust me and they want to learn from me, that is probably the biggest high I get. Even if you don't get it perfect, that doesn't matter to me. The fact you're in the room with me, and the fact we're training, and I feel like when I'm teaching, I'm still training. Sometimes, as much as I hope that I'm doing well when I do my own routines, I'm still training with the students as well. And that for me is such an amazing feeling, knowing that you're teaching and you're part of someone's journey. That's the second thing. I'm a part of somebody's journey. Like, I've trained and taught some of, like, I would say, the most amazing dancers, Chris and Wes, for example, I taught them for a little bit, They came to my class and they were like, big up Chris, big up Wes. Students like that. I've recently, taught a guy called James Bish, who's now gone on to IMD. He's like, again, when I first met him, he was like, with dance dynamics, and, like, I would say at the infancy of his journey, now choreograph for IMD, and now do music for my team, and also for IMD now. So those sort of stories for me are just the best feelings, you know.
Yeah. When you were younger, did you always believe you wanted to be a dancer?
That's an amazing question. I always really wanted to dance. Just watching Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and you know, Bobby Brown, and all, you know, just all of those guys, you know, Usher, and you know, and whatnot. Like, I always just wanted to dance. I embarrassed myself in front of my cousins. You know, they look at me now thinking, "How did you learn how to dance again?" Because I was awful. I don't. And like you ask my family, they'll tell you I was so bad.
I don't feel like I can believe.
No, like I was awful. I was terrible, and you know, I always had the feeling that I wanted to learn. I always wanted to, but then when I kind of got at the end of sixth form into I would say university, that's when I was like, right, I want to see where this goes. You know, I want to. And then when I started teaching, I was like, okay. And then I've always been that person that's always had a 9-to-5 job and taught dance. And then literally everyone's going, yeah, why don't you just do it full time? Why don't you just go self-employed? And coming from an African family, you know, you're kind of told, you know, be a lawyer, be a dentist, be an accountant. You know, with my degrees, you know, I should have been working for UN technically, you know, but I always had like, right, I want to make sure I've got a good degree, but I've also wanted.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, now dance now my career now. So yeah.
So do you have any like last bit of advice you want to give to younger and up and coming dancers?
I think for me, it's a few. First things first, train hard. You know, really train hard, like train every single style. You know, you can't be a dancer that is like, oh, I don't like locking, I don't like popping. Like that cannot be in your psyche, I'm sorry. Because, you know, you just need to be an all-round very good dancer. You need to do your ballet, your contemporary. I know her classical training, you know. She's like,
give me my ballet.
You know, give me your flowers. Absolutely. You know, those sort of styles, please do them. You know, they help with your core, you know, your posture, you know, and then your street dance styles, you know, your popping, you know, works with your hits, your locking, with your timing, with your stops. You know, your house with your bounce and your groove, you know, your breaking, you know.
Linked.
It's all linked.
All helpful and stuff.
You can't, and when people say I don't like the style, I hate the style, like that doesn't wash for me. And I'm being I'm being quite strict on this, because if you want to be the best you can be, like some of the best dancers I've ever worked, like seen, like, you know, the Holly Victorias, for example. Holly Victoria is one example that she like really how do I say this? She literally did gymnastics. She was classically trained, you know, and because of that, hip hop is so good, you know. So I think that's one thing. Make sure you train all your styles. I think that's, make sure you always go into class. Make sure that you go into class, especially with popping, locking, and house. Make sure you go into class, but also find a space, train it, freestyle it, get a piece of music, go through what you've learned, because that way the movement will become organic, and you will it will almost feel like water. It won't feel like it's forced. It won't feel like you're trying. It will be a natural thing. So the mental. You can be the best dancer in the world technically, but if your mental isn't good, it's a mental game sometimes. Like one thing about my 20s was I didn't have a good mental. My belief in myself was very low. I used to really beat myself up to a point where I used to be very stressed. Obviously, there was other factors going on. I was working and whatnot. But with your mental, you have to make sure you're in a good place. You know, if you're not in a good place, make sure you speak out. You know, you know, I've known a few dancers that go through quite a bad mental and it stopped them from progressing. I think if I had a bad mental, I probably would be maybe even more successful in my 20s. In my 30s, I'm happy where I am, so happy. But that's a big thing. And I think patience is very key as well. You're not going to be great at everything immediately. I say this to my partner. Hey, beautiful. Mwah, love you. Shout out to my beautiful partner, Tanya. Mwah. I always say to her, patience is key. Like, you know, you're not going to be great at everything, you know, immediately. You got to just, you have to really be patient within yourself and believe that the process you go on will get you to the promised land. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And apart from that, is there anything else? Patience, I think
it's also people make sure to step outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
It's such a problem, I feel like nowadays. Everyone's so worried that they're gonna I'm not gonna do well in that class, like I'm not gonna look good, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But the problem is that if you step outside your comfort zone and do that class, you'll realise by the end you're already better than when you started. Like that whole hour and a half from the beginning to the end, realise how much you've done from just one class.
I totally agree with that. It's I think
it's the main problem.
I think UK if you speak to a lot of dancers that go to like a Josh Piltmore class, for example, they will ask them, so would you like to go to locking class? Then most likely be like, no, it's not my thing. And again, that shouldn't be an answer, really, you know.
Up to everything.
If you're trained to be a dancer in the industry,
and you want to be in the industry, be open to everything.
I think you're obviously gonna prefer things over other things. Like you might.
That's natural. That's natural.
It's about being open to everything, not shutting it out. Otherwise, you're not gonna.
Obviously,
progress.
we have our favourite stars. I have my favourite stars. And I'd like jazz, and then I would like hip hop, and then like, do you know what I mean? And then I like house. But then obviously, I'm always open to locking, and I'm open to ballet, and I'm open to everything because I want to be able to do everything to my best ability. But I always know, like, obviously it's okay to have favourite stars, but you do need to be open to everything if you want to be better at each style, because you don't realise that doing your locking will help with something else, doing popping will help with something else. Like, even it'll help with your favourite style.
It's all intertwined. I was recently at Zinni Arts, led by a lady called Zinni. Shout out Zinni. She said to me after the class, she said, listen, you know, I'm trying to get these guys to be industry ready. And then when we were doing like mock auditions, they were all giving her afro, which an afro is an incredible style as well. But she was like, you know, they need to be able to do other bits as well. You know, like if you're going to a job, for example, and it's a commercial job, and then everyone's doing the same, you know, has same intention, the same style of dance, you're not going to stand out, are you? But if you can pull out 3 or 4 kinds of way of locking really well in house or something, or, you know, very good hip hop, then you're going to stand out, you know. So it's about being a smart dancer as well. So,
So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I hope I didn't like whittle on too much, but you know,
I think we put out a really good message, and hopefully it will inspire younger generations.
I hope so.
And hopefully everyone that had a shout out gets their shout out.
Yes.
Hopefully
again,
they all listen.
Again, I'm so sorry if I didn't like get a chance to shout you out. Like, again, I've had conversations with loads of people on Instagram and Facebook over the years, and you guys know who you are. No, and I want to give my last shout out to you two there's not many podcasts out there like this, you know, so it's amazing that, you know, you've got this idea, you bring, you know, you had Oddie on. Oddie's one of my favorites as well. Watching him dance is great, you know, so you guys are doing a very good thing, so keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you guys for listening.
Peace.
Peace.